Hello and welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar. Let's begin with the headlines. Bangladesh invites heads of government from 13 countries, including India, for the swearing-in of the new cabinet. The new government, led by Tariq Rahman, is expected to take place on Tuesday. On the eve of India's match against Pakistan in the T20 Cricket World Cup, Captain Suryakumar Yadav avoids a clear answer when asked about shaking hands with Pakistani players. Says call yet to be made. Imran Khan's sister calls for protests until urgent proper medical care provided to the jailed Pakistan leader. She claims Khan is not getting any treatment and may lose his second eye if not given specialized care. 5 European nations accuse Russia of poisoning opposition leader and Putin critic Alexei Navalny. Britain, France, Germany, Sweden and the Netherlands claim that Navalny was killed with a weird toxin derived from the skin of dart frogs. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says U.S. remains committed to their long-standing partnership with Europe, but also repeats demand that they change course on a number of fronts. Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen says she believes U.S. President Donald Trump still desires to own Greenland despite dialing back his recent threats to seize it by force. Paris prosecutor's office sets up a special team of magistrates to analyze evidence that could implicate French nationals in the crimes of the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Four astronauts dock at the International Space Station, replacing a crew forced to return to Earth early over a medical issue. The arrival brings the space station to full capacity. The European Central Bank will expand global access to its euro liquidity backstop from late 2026 to strengthen the euro's international role. The move aims to prevent market stress and force sales of euro-denominated assets. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has reiterated his demand for U.S. security guarantees before it can sign a peace deal with Russia. His statement comes ahead of talks with Russia and the U.S. scheduled for next week in Geneva. Now, speaking at the annual Munich Security Conference, Zelensky asked security guarantees for a minimum of 20 years from U.S. to sign a peace deal with dignity. He also called for a clear date for Ukraine to be allowed to join the European Union.
We are working with all our partners on security guarantees. As I have said, we are very close to finalizing this project. Today we met with senators and expressed our strong desire to conclude the agreement, and we want to increase the duration of these security guarantees so they are more effective for investors. We just had a meeting with investors and business leaders, and they require guarantees that extend beyond 5 to 10 years. Currently, we have a proposal from the American side for 15 years, but we are pushing for 20 years plus, 30 or even 50 years.
Zelensky revealed that Washington kept returning to the topic of concessions too often and that those concessions were discussed only in the context of Ukraine and not Russia. He went on to say that withdrawing from Ukraine's own territory in the Donetsk region would be, quote-unquote, a little bit crazy.
We can't withdraw from our territory or exchange our territory, one piece to another piece of our territory. It's something a little bit crazy. Sorry.
In his address, Zelensky also condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin as a slave to war, adding that Russia's attacks had damaged every power plant in the country. He drew parallels between the current Russia-Ukraine talks over territorial concessions and the 1938 Munich Agreement, when Hitler forced territorial concessions from the European powers. The Ukrainian president also met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the sidelines of the Security Summit. According to the Ukraine's presidential office, both leaders focused on the situation on the battlefield, Russian attacks, and the damage caused to Ukraine's energy infrastructure. And on the other hand, Poland has demanded a seat for Europe in the ongoing trilateral talks between U.S., Russia, and Ukraine. Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski said that Europe deserves a seat at the negotiating table on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, as they were, quote-unquote, paying for the war.
We are buying American weapons to be delivered to Ukraine. There is no package in the US Congress, and that there isn't even the prospect of a package. If we are paying, if this is affecting our security, not just Ukraine's, then we deserve the seat at the table, because the outcome of this war will affect us.
No parallel to this, U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker said that China had the power to end the war Russia was waging on Ukraine. He added that the conflict was being enabled by China, and China could call Vladimir Putin and end the war, quote-unquote, tomorrow. Now, on the war front, Ukraine has claimed to have destroyed half of Russia's stockpile of the coveted Panzer air defense system. The Alpha unit of Ukraine's security service, SBU, said that it undertook the systemic destruction of the air defense system with the strategic goal of making Russia vulnerable to long-range strikes. Bangladesh has invited the heads of government from 13 countries, including India, to attend the swearing-in ceremony of its new cabinet led by Tariq Rahman on February 17th. Now, the countries invited are India, China, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Turkey, UAE, Qatar, Malaysia, Brunei, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Maldives, and Bhutan. The ceremony follows a sweeping victory for the Bangladesh Nationalist Party in the 13th parliamentary elections. The result brings to an end the tenure of the interim administration headed by Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus. The invitations were issued by Yunus on behalf of the transitional authorities in line with the incoming administration's priorities and are being seen as a signal of Dhaka's focus on strengthening regional diplomacy. In an interview with WION, Humayun Kabir, foreign policy advisor to the BNP chairman, confirmed that outreach had been made to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Kabir described the invitation as a goodwill gesture, emphasizing that the region holds a central place in Rahman's foreign policy vision. The diplomatic outreach comes after years of strained ties between Dhaka and New Delhi since the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Her government collapsed amid mass protests in 2024, leading to her departure to India and the installation of an interim administration under Yunus. Rahman, who recently returned to Bangladesh after 17 years of self-imposed exile in London, led his party to a decisive two-thirds majority. In his recent remarks, he has called for national unity, improvements in law and order, and economic stabilization following a prolonged period of political unrest and concerns over minority rights. Prime Minister Modi's early congratulatory phone call to Rahman after the election results highlighted New Delhi's interest in supporting what it described as a democratic and progressive Bangladesh. While confirmations of attendance are still awaited, the broad outreach reflects Dhaka's intent to reset foreign relations and place renewed emphasis on South Asian cooperation at a delicate moment in the country's post-election transition. Now, of course, to give us more details on this, our Assistant Editor of Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbal, has sent us this report.
13 countries, including India, have been invited for the oath-taking ceremony of Tariq Rahman on 17th of February. We know that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the first world leader to speak to Tariq Rahman after his landslide victory last week. And now it looks like the focus is on a reset. The invite shows an outreach by Dhaka coming at a time when it looks like both sides are keen for a reset after months of fragile relationship under the UNIS regime. Also, focus perhaps will be on much greater engagement. For Tariq Rahman, this mandate, of course, gives him the chance for his vision of Bangladesh, which he described on Saturday as something that involves rule of law, and talked about how the focus will be on economic progress, getting more investments. Tariq Rahman gets in inheritance from the UNIS regime a tattered economy and a tattered foreign relations in terms of ties with India and Myanmar.
Now, the latest release of documents linked to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is once again sending shockwaves across the world. The newly disclosed files reveal the names of several women connected in different ways to his network. Among the names drawing attention is Norway's crown princess, Mette-Marit, who has now apologized publicly after reports of a past friendship with Epstein. The relationship has triggered intense public pressure in Norway. In neighboring Sweden, the royal court has confirmed that Princess Sofia met Epstein on several occasions years ago, but it is denying that she had any involvement in events linked to him later on. The files also include references to Maria Drakova, a Russian public relations figure who appears frequently in documents related to media coordination and Epstein's public image. In the United States, attention has returned to women who worked inside Epstein's operation. Leslie Groff, one of his longtime associates, is among the most mentioned names in the document dump. Her name features alongside former assistants such as Sarah Killen and Nadia Marchinokova, both of whom have been referenced in victims' accounts and civil suits over the years. The files also revisit Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's closest confidant, who is already serving a prison sentence for her role in a sex trafficking network. Other names emerging include Kimberly Espinosa, a former office assistant, and Adriana Ross, who has been linked to reports to Epstein's travel circles. Indian filmmaker Meera Nair has been mentioned in connection with an email reference, but there are no allegations of illegality on her part. However, the disclosure has sparked public attention given her profile. U.S. lawmaker Stacey Plaskett has also faced questions after documents showed contact with Epstein in a professional context. Now, 4 astronauts have arrived at the International Space Station for a months-long research mission. They replaced a crew forced to return to Earth early over a medical issue, bringing the station back to its full strength. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket delivered Crew 12 a day after launching them from Cape Canaveral, Florida. The crew includes 2 Americans, 1 French and 1 Russian cosmonaut.
Thank you so much. It is so wonderful to be back up here for me and Andre, but really we're so excited for Jack and for Sophie for their first trip here to the International Space Station. I think you look around the crew up here and it's really a testament to everything that we do. We have so many countries represented, so many backgrounds, so many disciplines, and we are so excited to be here and to get to work with Expedition 74. Sending big hugs and love to Svea and all my family and friends. We did it. We're here. We love you.
For some, we're replacing Crew 11, which returned to Earth in January, a month earlier than planned, in the first medical evacuation in the space station's history. The ISS, which orbits nearly 400 kilometers above Earth, has since been staffed by a skeleton crew of 3. During their 8 months on the outpost, the astronauts will conduct many experiments, including research into the effects of microgravity on their bodies. Crew 12 will be one of the latest crews to live aboard the space station. The ISS is scheduled to be pushed into Earth's orbit before crashing into an isolated spot in the Pacific Ocean in 2030. Now, Wall Street's top bankers are seeing compensation numbers not seen in nearly 2 decades. CEOs at major U.S. banks are now earning huge pay packets reminiscent of the mid-2000s before the financial crisis. After years of restraint following the 2008 financial crisis, Wall Street is once again awarding its top executives massive pay packages with compensation levels last seen in 2006. In 2025, the 6 largest U.S. bank CEOs, including leaders at JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Goldman Sachs, collectively took home more than $250 million in total compensation. Now, these pay packages increased significantly from the prior year. For example, Morgan Stanley CEO saw a 32% rise, the biggest jump among his peers. Banks are rewarding these payouts after a strong 2025 dominated by booming deal-making trading activity and higher revenue. Industry totals approached nearly $600 billion in revenue, with profits up about 8%. Critics know that the gap between CEO compensation and average worker pay continues to widen, echoing debates about income inequality last seen before the financial crisis. Well, there are days left for India-Pakistan matches. It is the stage where a single performance can transform a talented player into a national icon overnight. Here are some of the stars whose legacies were birthed by this rivalry. Let's take you back to 2012. Virat Kohli was an established player in the Indian team, having won the World Cup a year back, but wasn't the player we know him as today. And this is the knock that is often cited as one that took him from a star to a successor to Sachin Tendulkar. Kohli was 23 at the time and produced a knock of 183 from 148 balls. And that helped India chase down a target of 330 in Dhaka at the Asia Cup. Interestingly, this was also Sachin's final ODI, and India officially had a poster boy. Kohli's innings of 183 remains his highest score in ODI cricket. While he has since played several more memorable innings against Pakistan, this was his first and arguably the most special. It's easy to forget at times that Imran Khan was a cricketer. In fact, the former Prime Minister wasn't just a cricketer. He is widely regarded as the greatest cricketer Pakistan has ever produced. But before he led Pakistan to their only ODI World Cup title till date, he built his legacy with his stunning performances in India-Pakistan matches. He was in fact described as a one-man army. One of his most legendary performances came in 1983, the year that India won the World Cup. In the Faisalabad Test, he achieved a rare all-round feat by scoring a blistering 117 off 121 balls and taking 11 wickets in the match. Despite a severe stress factor in his shin, he led Pakistan to an innings victory. Now, another legend who had his greatest moment in an India-Pakistan game was Anil Kumble. The leg spinner was a crucial part of the Indian team in 1999, but his performance in Delhi Test made him immortal. 10 wickets for 74 runs. It made him a national icon and also helped India win the test match and thereby draw the series. Kumble ended his career as India's highest test wicket taker, an honor he still holds. And who can forget Virender Sehwag's triple century in Multan in 2004? He became the first Indian to do so in tests at Multan. He famously hit a 6 to reach his 300, and his subsequent dominance over the Pakistani attack earned him a nickname that followed him for the rest of his career, the Sultan of Multan. Now, cricket fans of a certain age will definitely remember Syed Anwar. Before 1997, Anwar was a respected opener, but the Independence Cup in Chennai made him a household name across the border. In the scorching May of heat of Chennai, he smashed 194 off 146 balls. He broke the world record for the highest individual ODI score and in fact held it for 13 years until Sachin Tendulkar hit the first double century in 50 over internationals. Now, at a time when spy thrillers has reached its peak point, show creators Suzanne Fogel and David Azerson have thrilled many with their show Ponies. In an exclusive conversation with WION's Samarpita Das, actor Adrian Lester spoke about his role in the series. We leave you with this report. To stay tuned. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION World is One. Stay tuned.
We only got the first 2 episodes, so we don't judge it on everything. You read the first 2 episodes and then you make your decision. And it was really intriguing, really good. And I thought, I want to see where this goes. The characters were really believable, but there was this touch of humor running through it all. It was really nice. And so I just, I thought, yeah, hungry? I like it. Let's go. The best part, working with the team, working with the other characters, and especially David and Susanna, the creators. Well, 2 female leads is one thing. That takes that up. A lot of spy thrillers. And it's nice to flip do the reverse, because in a lot of spy dramas, especially, franchises, the women are incidental, and their choices, their expertise, and their lives simply exist to push a male character forward. So it was nice to be involved in a show where it was completely the opposite way around. What would I take home with me from Dame Water? I wouldn't take much home. I mean, his commitment and his duty. And his ability to hold many things in his head at the same time and have all of them be true until they're confirmed. Russia in the 70s. So it's not a case of balancing the power structures that black people and women were under. It's about reflecting a truth to the situations that they were faced with. And I think, it didn't delve into that kind of politics at all. And if it had, there would be much, much, much more to say about what's happening in America and so on. But Ponies didn't do that. It's very much about Russia and very much about the women's predicament.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Beyond the noise and rhetoric, no election, no ballot issue too small. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. More